there are already people here. Hi. I'll be with you in 1 second. I'm getting ready here. I just got out of the shower. Wearing some nice pajamas, which are basically sweatpants and a t-shirt. Nice and comfy. And we're gonna do this. We're gonna talk about Firestorm. I put on my Homer Simpson slippers. I'm telling you, tonight is a big snowstorm. Everybody's hunkering down. And I am too. I'm hunkered down. I'm ready for this. Hi, all right, let me check in on my, let's see here. Yeah. Turn this down. Good. Jack going? Yeah, hunker. Hunker is a good word. Argos 444. Yeah, Delaware is going to be crazy. I just looked at the weather map, and we're just getting a little bit of it. I mean, I'm in South Jersey, and they showed that we're going to get smacked with a little snow. You know, something like 1 to 5 inches. I don't know how I feel about that. Like, at first I was excited about 5 inches, and then I got, like, worried because then the kids are going to be home from school tomorrow. Driving us nuts. Where did I get Homer Simpson slippers? Well, you can look them up on Amazon, and you can get Homer Simpson slippers. All right, we're going to focus, and we're going to talk about Fury of Firestorm, the Nuclear Men. Now, this is the trade paperback, the first one. I believe there were 2. There might have been 3, but there are 2 that contain my work. I started talking about this before a couple days ago, and it was just like this was a book that I didn't revisit. It was the best of times, and it was the absolute worst of times. So it's like when I was working on it, I had some optimism, although it took me a little while to kind of get into it. I think my initial idea for this relaunch, kind of revamped Firestorm, was pretty cool. The idea of these 2 boys each having Firestorm powers and being able to merge together. Okay, so each of them is their own Firestorm, but they can merge together and become a ferocious, monstrous, like nuclear holocaust on feet, on 2 legs. And then they realize, oh, we better not do that. Like, our powers are unstable. The thing that strikes me about nuclear technology, especially all during the Cold War, was just the fear of it, the instability. There was a great sense that, hey, nuclear power is unsafe, even though it's clean, even though it's cheap. It's extremely unstable and unsafe, and so we're afraid of it. And not only that, we know that if let loose, nuclear power could possibly just destroy us all. There was all this talk about, hey, mankind has finally created the ability to destroy all of mankind, and they were saying some very, very scary and totally awesome things back in the 1940s and 50s. About our abilities, like how far science can take us, and yet, do we have control of science? So, if we have a book, if we have a character who was known as the Nuclear Man, and this is the Nuclear Men, we decided to call it. There needs to be that fear, that uncertainty, that hey, these guys are unstable, like in their powers, and bad things can happen because of them. But I wanted all of that to be centered around mostly their powers and not around their personalities. These 2 boys are each meant to be incredible young men, and you were supposed to admire and like both of them. And I think that what happened was right away in the first issue, and we'll pick up right where we left off, and I am perfectly composed. In the first issue, we get right smack into the racial divide between these 2 guys. And I mean, that's okay for some books. I mean, you might want to talk about, uh, these kind of social justice issues in another book, but this was meant to be a superhero book, and I really didn't want those kind of feelings to be associated with it. And I read this, and right away I'm like, oh, keep these two kids away from each other. Okay, just keep them away from each other. Just because as people, they make me uncomfortable together. I'd rather them be a great team who work together really well, who each have their own strengths and weaknesses. But if they get together and try to, if they use their powers wrong, like they mean well, but if they use their powers wrong, then bad things can happen if they're not careful. Like that to me is the nuclear analogy that I was hoping to go for. But I think a lot of people, and I read the reviews at the time, a lot of people were instantly turned off when you had Ronnie Raymond asking his mother, "Mom, why don't we have any black friends?" Yeah, good question, Ronnie. Why don't you have any black friends? I think you do have black friends, tons of them, because you're a football star and all of your teammates are black, as we saw. And I'm sure that you hang out with them. And you're a good guy who is a superhero, a DC superhero, and therefore you don't have you have friends of all different kinds, and that is not what your problem is. You have problems; they center around your home life, but you don't have those kind of weaknesses. You're a really, really good guy. The high school quarterback. You were chosen to be a superhero, and you are someone that we can admire. So I don't like this. I don't like it. But we got it. It happened, and we were kind of then put on this path where, okay, so now we know that these two boys kind of don't like each other, and that's been established. So now we have to move forward from there. In the meantime, we had this really great thing because we had already decided. I said, look, Iran, and we won't call it Iran because we don't want to be provocative like that. We'll make up a Middle Eastern country, and I think we wanted to use Kondak, but then we weren't allowed. I can't remember. So we just made up a Middle Eastern country that was sort of a stand-in for Iran, and they were trying to develop their own nuclear man, and actually a bunch of nuclear men. They wanted to be heavily armed with these kind of drone warriors, who were essentially like living suicide bombers, but nuclear bombers, and they were unstable and they weren't put together correctly. They weren't good technology the way the American and British and French firestorms were. So, or the Russian firestorm, who was just awesome beyond belief. Pozar, we'll meet him. So these guys, there are a lot of them. They're dangerous. Here we have the French Firestorm, who is Firebird. So we took that character that already existed and made her into a blue, beautiful bird-like kind of Firestorm, and she's terrific. I think I end up really drawing her first appearance when I decided to take over the book for a couple issues as penciler. We have the British Firestorm here, and the Chinese Firestorm. Did we ever get to meet him? I don't remember. And then the Russian Firestorm. These are just glimpses, and we've got this mysterious woman down here looking and checking them out, and who knows. So immediately we get back to school, and Jason and Ronnie are fighting. I don't know. I don't know. It doesn't make me like these boys. I really want them to get along. But I think, and this is the thing, once you read this, and okay, here they are, they become Firestorms. By the way, let's give it up to Ildare Sinar, who was the penciler, and I believe he was inking himself here with a nice brush, and he was adding this nice kind of gray tone to his work. But he did a really, really good job introducing the Firestorms as they become Firestorms, and it's very, very cool. And then they immediately start fighting. So they become Firestorms and they start doing stuff. And, here you have it. It's like Jason is able to manipulate matter. So he's got the ground grabbing Ronnie. I think Ronnie didn't have those same powers. I think Ronnie had, what did I call them? He has some kind of he had more fiery powers. But these powers are all kind of interchangeable. I decided like you could reprogram Ronnie to have Jason's powers, and there were other powers that I was going to introduce later for the Firestorm protocols. Yeah, fighting, great stuff. I mean, I really like Gilder. I would have liked to have inked him because he was inking himself very heavily with a brush here. I would have liked to have gone in and really done detail work for him because his drawing is really sound. I see a lot of Ivan Reyes in his work, and yeah, it's impressive. So suddenly they merge, okay? And this was the thing, like they merge and look, boom, right here, and then they crash into the ground, and there's this gigantic thing. And then this is the introduction of the being that they become when they merge. And this is all wrong. This is all wrong. He's talking. He's saying, "The guys are gone forever, sweet cheeks. Say hello to Fury." So Gail has him talking kind of like Peter David's Smart Hulk, and that is not at all what this thing is. This thing is he is, what is it, Balrog? What's the creature's name from Lord of the Rings? Is it Balrock? I'm looking at the chat. One of you guys will know, but you know who I'm talking about. This thing doesn't talk. This thing is enormous. I mean, I really want to show scale. I'd like to see. I mean, I'd like to see things just like whatever is around him blowing away. There is heat and wind. Balrog, somebody said, thank you. There's heat and wind coming from him. Now, if you've seen those like atomic test films in black and white where they show like, hey, here's a house, here's a car, here's a truck, and then here's what happens if it's in proximity to an atomic test, and you just see the houses blow over. Like that's who this guy is, and he doesn't talk. He doesn't talk. Like if he does talk, he makes a noise like a windy, whooshing, hot, just kind of. You like that sound effect? Just huge, like awful noise, like that just means you're doomed. And that's what he's meant to be. But again, my thing was I was working on something else, and I was doing this. I was doing it kind of half-heartedly. Gail Simone was the writer that I chose for this. I asked to collaborate with her, and okay, when it comes to collaboration, and you guys will, if you become comic pros, some of you probably in here are comic pros. My attitude with collaboration is that it's, no matter who it is, between writers, colorists, and pencilers and inkers, it's a big marriage, okay? And we're negotiating against, oftentimes for what we want against editorial and against, DC. It's like they are the ones who are going to put a stop to it. They're going to put the brakes on us. So we as a team, if we have creative ideas that we really insist on, it's important that we back each other up. And so I will always go to bat for my writer, whoever I'm working with. Whatever their problem is, I will fight with them on behalf of them against editorial. And when I say against editorial, it's like editorial is the enemy. No, they're not. They're the other side of the negotiation. If there's something that we want to do, or if there's something that the writer wants to do, and I am asked, or if I have a say, I'm going to be on the writer's side first. So this first issue comes out, and the second issue comes in, and okay, there is an awful lot of stuff in it that is sort of, what's the word I want to say, like emotional kind of stuff, content that Gail loves. I mean, Gail wants to do this kind of like conflict, inner conflict. She wants to, that the Jason and Ronnie thing was very important to her. We were working on another thing at the same time called Day of the Composites. And even though there was absolutely no need for this, like from my point of view, I mean, I wanted it to be a horror movie. She wanted there to be this thing where Lois Lane was sort of arguing with an Ann Coulter kind of stand-in about her fidelity to superheroes rather than to mankind. Like, so, this person was arguing with her on TV, and, the Ann Coulter character was saying something like, you are really close with Superman, and he's an alien, so how do we trust you? And, this was all a lot of pages spent on this. But those emotional beats were very important to Gail, and they were less important, at least these ones, to DC Comics. So they put a little pressure on her to pull back. And Gail came to me and said, "Look, we've got to be united in this. I have a plan for how to keep, how to sort of introduce Ronnie and Jason, who are so different from each other, and eventually they're going to learn to work together. And, so you have to kind of be on my side about this." And I remember going to DC and saying, "You got to give Gail her space. She knows what she's doing." And she's going to write the action stuff too. But, I had pulled back. I mean, everything in this issue, in this first issue, is Gail's. It really is. I mean, these guys here, these guys who are hunting down, they're looking for Killer Frost, I think. I mean, I think that is Killer Frost there. These guys are all Gail's invention. They don't really have much to do with the story that I was, that I'd sold to DC Comics, which was just, we're introducing the Firestorm protocols. We're introducing these two unstable superheroes and what their powers are, and who is this sinister conglomerate that is actually selling these protocols to other nations around the world, and what does that mean, and so on and so forth. And then just the coolness of this kind of Voltron aspect of the Firestorms, which is, hey, we merge together, we form a bigger, scarier being if we need to. And that is, that was the whole thing about this. So this extra stuff, this is all Gail's, and it's fine. So then we turn the page, and then this is my cover for the second issue. And this was based kind of on, okay, so this guy, Fury, is my design. And I'm trying to show you what life with Fury should look like. So here are these two characters that Gail created. This is the world. In other words, if Fury shows up, you see the wind, you see the heat, you see just this thing is not human at all. This thing is screaming and howling, and it's not, you can't communicate with it. It's just tearing everything down. That is this is what I want him to be, and even bigger. I want him to be able to change sizes. I want him to just be this ferocious, human-shaped nuclear blast. Now, I don't know. Is it cool? To me, I thought it was pretty cool, but who knows? All right. Oh, here's the black and white. You can see the cool. I love when they print my covers in black and white. Look at all the little speed lines here. They get erased. I mean, when you actually get colored, it's like you can't really enjoy that the same way. But it's like in black and white, that is pretty spiffy, I gotta say. So so here's a teenage girl standing in front of Fury, and here we have what being in Fury's presence looks like here, and here we have what being in Fury's presence looks like here. So this is wrong. This isn't correct. This girl, if she were standing in front of Fury, would be sweating profusely. Her hair would be blowing all around. She would be shielding her eyes, and there would just be, just stuff flying all around. There would be debris and dust, and the ground would be lifting itself off just in chunks, and it would be insane. And under no circumstances would she be able to touch his chest. So we're now establishing that this guy is someone that you can communicate with, and he is not really that scary. You can see that there are two buttons here on his chest, and one of them has the kind of Firestorm atomic thing, and the other one has kind of a sunburst. That represents Jason's powers to restructure matter, and that represents Ronnie's powers of intense heat. So you can see already there are 4 more slots here. So what are those? We don't know. Never got to it. And this is pretty cool. It's really, really good artwork. Look, Look at that. I love it. I love the way Ilda Ray draws. And again, I wish I could have inked him. But this isn't what, you know, this interaction here doesn't make him into anything that's threatening at all. Like, these two guys are supposed to come apart from this and say, Jason and Ronnie are supposed to come away from being Fury and say, we'll never do that again. We can never do that again. And that's not happening. All right, so, oof. Fury has these kind of whips. It looks like these fiery whips. That's cool. Yeah, I mean, you can see it's like, when he's got these kind of fiery strands, he is very much like Balrog. I mean, that is the inspiration for this character. We meet this woman whose name is Zither with a Z, and it's very difficult to say, especially if you have any kind of a lisp. Zither. I remember being frustrated talking about that in creative meetings. And then, like, she owns a company called Zither Tech. Blech. It's hard to say. So here they are coming apart, and they're fighting. They're like, I'm going to kill you. Blah. Oh. No. We come apart, and we look at each other and say, yeah, let's not. Hey, we've been given great powers. We have great responsibility. That's clear. All right, so introducing these characters. I don't know who they are. I think they're just, what are they called? Hyena team. Oh, I wanted to introduce a new hyena. And because hyena, the thing is, when you get into these characters, they all have established villains already. So it's like, hey, we can redo them. I wanted to introduce a new hyena, but Gayle did this thing instead. She turned hyena into a team of agents. And I said, okay, as long as I can take one of them and turn them into hyena later. Like, I think, like, we'll kill them all, and one of them will get to be hyena. Great art, really good stuff. And then here we are at issue 3. Now, by issue 3, we had trouble. This is when already we're fighting behind the scenes. The books, I think there was a severe drop-off between issue 1 and 2, which there is, but the reviews were not good. They just were not good, and people were like, well, that was, like the first bust of the New 52. And I start kind of paying attention, like, what's going on? And I decide I'm going to really start to double down here, and I produce this cover, which is very Green Lantern of me. Just trying to say, hey, no, look at our heroes. They're really cool looking. Gayle had this villain that she created, and in the background, I got to draw him. And I can't remember what he's called. He's kind of like, we'll figure that out. But this issue, there was a lot of conflict. They asked Gayle to rewrite it, and at this point, there was conflict between editorial and Gayle, and I was kind of in the middle of it, and wasn't happy to do that. I was saying things like, this is supposed to be fun. Like, we're supposed to be having fun. I don't want to fight about this all the time. And it just wasn't happening because, this particular editor disagreed with what she wanted to do. And the book was veering way off course. I mean, already with issue 2, I'm not seeing anything that, points to the direction. I mean, you have to understand, like, I pitched this to DC Comics a certain way, and they were not getting the product that I promised. So they were having Gayle rewrite issue 3, and I remember getting some emails from DC saying, you need to get this train back on track. And they were like, do you write? And I was like, no. And they're like, well, you're going to. So here's issue 3. Gayle was asked to rewrite it a bunch of times, and it was problematic beyond belief. I don't even know if I want to talk about it, but it was something else. Here's this villain, okay? And so DC said to me, all right, you're going to write issue 4. And this is the cover to issue 4. So Thank you for the super chat, Edwin. Have some blackberries on me or a pack of Funsicles. Everyone, Edwin Boyette has started his own YouTube page or YouTube channel, and it's very funny. So why don't you go and subscribe to Edwin Boyette there? It's really, really great, and Edwin's a great guy. Okay, so now while Gayle is doing this, I was assigned to write, and by write I mean basically plot this issue. So I was going to write out the plot and get this back on the rails to where it was supposed to go, back to the Firestorm protocols, introducing Firestorms. We don't want to meet any more SEAL teams with weird names. We don't want to meet any like Zither Tech, any of this. Back to the Firestorms. So I said, okay, well, we've got to introduce the Russian Firestorm, and really, that's going to be my first thing. And guys, I'm not a writer. I'm not a writer. I have ideas. I like to contribute ideas to stories. I think very visually, and I'm pretty good at coming up with concepts. But when it comes to actually writing something, I don't do it. It's not that I can't do it necessarily. I don't want to do it. I don't want to try. And the reason is I feel like the difference between art and writing is that, well, if somebody doesn't like the way I draw, I can live with that. That's just a matter of taste. If someone doesn't like my writing, I would feel very sensitive about that. I would feel like that was a personal kind of attack. Not attack, that's not right. I would feel like it would mean that I wasn't good enough in some way. Whereas, like, if someone doesn't like my artwork, I can really brush that off and just say, well, the way I draw might not be for you. That's fine. But I don't know, it would hurt my feelings more if I were writing bad stories. So I don't do it. But I was asked to plot this here. And so I did. I wrote the plot. It took me a long time to come up with the plot for this. Gayle was not happy about it. She was not happy about me doing this. And she felt bullied and steamrolled, I remember. And was just really unhappy on this project. And she told me so almost every day. And I said, we need to do this. This is the comic book that we promised we'd produce. We need to produce this comic book. I'm sorry, they are asking me to plot this. We'll go over it because you're going to script it over my plot. Then we're gonna restructure where we're going from here. Now, by this point, this is issue number 4, and you guys have to understand. It's like, by the time issue 4 rolls around of a new series, if fans aren't on board, they're not on board. So you're not going to get them. So we were kind of in a tough spot. But this is Posar. I'm still excited about it, by the way. I'm still excited about the general concept. I'm excited about introducing these Firestorms. I just want to do it with people who are equally as excited with me. They say that when you collaborate, just like when you're doing stand-up, what's that, improv comedy, you don't say no, you say yes and, or something like that. And so you want to work with people who have that same kind of sensibility about them, where they say, I think so and so, and you toss out a vague idea, and then someone says yes and then you build the idea up. And if you can find somebody who agrees with you, with your basic idea, and then wants to help you develop it, you've got a really, really good collaborator that you hang on to. All right, so here's my plot. We introduce this guy here. I don't know, what are these guys doing? Yeah, these are terrorists who are introducing the technology. They have the technology to make firestorms, and they're selling it to these, Iranians. What was the name of the country that we? Okay, Kurak. So we just called this place Korak, which was, sounds pretty real. And here's the test. I mean, they're actually going to drop a human being who has gone through this canister down on, out of this thing the way they used to drop the atomic bombs. So this is actually a guy who's been gifted with the Firestorm protocol here, and it's not very good. It's very unstable, and then just boom, it's just a mushroom cloud. Like, this guy is now a nuclear man. And they watch with satisfaction And yeah, we're buying it. And who wouldn't buy it? Um, but oh, look at this guy. This guy forgot to wear goggles. He was watching through binoculars. So the light and the heat actually seared two holes right through the back of his head. Yeah, that's not prime time. And then last issue, Tanya, who was Jason's girlfriend, was shot in the head and by these hyena team guys. So she's got a little fragment of a bullet. I think she just caught a bullet fragment. So I basically decided this would be a good time to, come up with a creative way for Jason to use his powers, which was, they gotta, take her off to a hospital, and he creates kind of a little thing to grab her, and off they go. In the meantime, these gentlemen who just bought the Firestorm equipment are cheersing, they're tinking on the plane, and then right in the middle of the sky, this is very much like when Hal Jordan first met Sinestro. Posar, we meet Posar, the Russian Firestorm, who is the big daddy of firestorms, and he just, I guess this is all kind of coming back to me. Posar helped develop the Firestorm protocols, and he is annoyed that they stole the technology from him. Again, terrific art from Ilderay Sinar, who never missed a deadline. He was always right on. Now it's all about introducing the fact that this technology is something that people can have. It's dangerous and it's unstable. Here is the guy who actually sold the technology, and you find out, look, I tested the protocols myself, you arrogant bastard. Boom, and he becomes a Firestorm himself. And it's cool. It's a chance to draw different Firestorm costumes, different cool uniforms, different color energy. And Posar and this guy are going to fight in midair. Posar kills him. And what goes on here? Yeah. I mean, there's all this like dialogue in here. It's like, look, so maybe I'm not as smart as Jason Rush, but I'm not stupid either. I listen, observe. This is commentary. I don't like this commentary. Ronnie doesn't think he's stupid, and he's not stupid at all. And he's, I don't know. I don't like that. When somebody says maybe I'm not as smart as, it just shows self doubt. I don't know. I don't want to see so much self doubt in this guy. These are great kids. They're supposed to be great kids. So yeah, they're I don't know. I can't remember what's even going on here. Oh, but anyway, Zither Tech comes down and picks up Ronnie and just says, "Hey, we'd like to employ you." So now, this is basically the way the book is supposed to go. These boys end up being agents of this corporation that actually is selling nuclear technology. But this was the moment that I really liked. I really like Jason taking Tanya to the hospital, and she's got like a bullet fragment in her head, and it's moving towards her brain. It's she's gonna die, or she's comatose now, and we can't remove it. So Jason goes in and he decides that he's going to use his powers to simply transform the bullet into water, into something that's inert, and that's the perfect use of his matter transformation powers, I think, and save her life. Here's Posar. He's answering to his government. And then Zither Tech also comes and meets Jason, and they make him the same offer. So now, look, yeah, these guys are great. He's like, yeah, we're gonna, Ronnie's like right in with this. This is a boy who wants to join some kind of like organization like this. He wants to be a soldier. So he says, Jason, you got to join these guys. They're freaking awesome. All right. So here they are, the nice symbolic cover of Jason and Ronnie on leashes. And then, okay, so Gayle is back from here, I believe. Is this Gayle? Yeah, I think this whole book. Yeah, I think this whole book is all Gayle. So she is now. Gayle is now kind of being instructed to write, uh, this kind of thing now, where I want to introduce these unstable firestorms, and Pozar being upset about their existence. His whole thing is he represents Russia. He does not want these guys to go nuclear, so he is going around destroying all of their unstable. What did we call them? Rogue firestorms. So that's what he's doing. And in the meantime, we've got this going on. We've got Fury like haunting Jason's nightmares and yelling at him. Now, I was talking to Gail about Jason, and I think I decided that what I would like to see happen is basically this is all going to lead up to uh, a super futuristic situation here. Jason and Ronnie are going to be old men, and Jason is just already on the wrong path, and he's going to be this ultimate villain. And I wanted to actually have him living inside the sun, like in the center of the sun, just a godlike being who has become evil. And Ronnie would end up being the hero, and it just seems like they're on that path already with Ronnie's self doubt, with his goodness, his kindness, his being surprised at the and wanting to improve his life. And, when somebody criticizes him, like Jason, he says, I want to do better. And I said, okay, that is Jason's, that's who he is. If you come to Jason or come to Ronnie and you say, hey, I don't like this thing that you do. I don't like this about you. Why can't you do this? Ronnie doesn't react negatively to that. He takes that criticism inward and then he comes back with, how can I improve myself? How can I be better? And I was like, okay, from there, I can see Ronnie as a really, really good hero. He's humble. And I started to formulate who this kid was and who he was going to grow up to be. And in the meantime, this gentleman who says to his father, why does it feel bad to tell people that I'm right over dinner? It's like, I was right. How come I feel bad inside that I had to tell everyone that I was right? That sounds like a villain to me. So this guy was on his way to becoming a villain. And I'm not sure Gail agreed with me about that. But fortunately, the next writer did. And by the end of this, let's see, okay, I wanted to introduce these guys moving to a nice community. Zither Tech is providing them everything that they need. I mean, Jason's father is so happy now. He's got a great job. Jason's father is missing an arm, and they made him, I think, see, a security guard. They gave him a nice car, like a company car. He's like, you did this for us. This is great. Jason has doubts about it. He's like, look at this, the refrigerator stocked with steaks. What are you complaining about? And he's like, I don't know. I don't know if I trust these guys. Ronnie feels kind of the same way. Yeah. Yeah. And they decide they're going to go to a concert that night. Yeah, they're going to go to a concert because they've gotten word that there is going to be a firestorm, a rogue firestorm appearing there, and he's going to cause a terrorist incident that only they could handle. And they do. They try to handle it. They fight him at the concert, but it doesn't work. They're not successful, and he absolutely destroys. I mean, this is destroys the stadium, and then you just see for the first time, it's like, hey, this is serious. This is what firestorms are capable of. Here's the cover to issue number 6, standing in a gigantic crater that's shaped like their symbol. I did another cover for this that actually got kicked back. There maybe 4 or 5 times in my career that I've done a cover, that completed a cover, and it didn't make it. And this was one of them. I showed you a JSA one that I did for my sketchbook commentary, and I still like that cover an awful lot. But sometimes you do a cover and it's not a cover, it's a splash page, and you can't define exactly why that is, until an editor says, "Hey, that's not a good cover. Do it again, but do it from a different angle." And this ended up being kind of a little bit more, shocking. You can see bits of chairs and stuff. I was actually influenced by going to the Colosseum in Rome and just seeing, you know, the wreckage of the Colosseum, and just seeing imagining what it probably used to look like. That really kind of uh, gave me the feels to do this image. So yeah, we've got Ronnie and Jason now. They have utterly failed, and people are dead, and they couldn't do anything about it. And this is when they meet Posar. It's like they jump into the lake and they absolutely just burn the lake out. And Posar's like, "Boys, knock it off." Oh, I think these inks are by Norm Ratmond. I think it looks better. Fighting, more punching each other. I mean, I think that if you talk to Gayle about this, she would say, well, Gayle was confused about this whole book. She said, I didn't know what I was doing. She said, I wasn't feeling it, and I know that I got it wrong, and she had to talk about this a little bit when she left the book. And she just said, "Look, sorry, I didn't get it," and that's fair enough. But I think she would say, "Look, these two boys are in conflict all the time, and that's part of what makes them interesting." And maybe I just disagree. I don't want to see my heroes doing this. It makes sense for them to do it. That's not an issue. It's just, does it feel good? Does it make me want to read more? And the answer is no. All right, so this, I believe, was Gayle's last issue. At this point, what happened was Gayle was asked to rewrite. I think what happened was Gayle was asked to rewrite something again, and she needed to turn it in quickly, and in order for the artist to get it. And the deadline was just something for the rewrites. First of all, she thought it was an unreasonable rewrite, I believe. She thought that she had done just fine, and editorial wanted her to rewrite it for a bunch of different reasons. Usually when an editor wants a writer to do rewrites, they'll give you a list of things you need to fix, and it was a lot of things, and Gayle just didn't want to do it, wasn't interested anymore, and so either she quit or was fired. I think she quit. And I began to talk to a new writer whose name was Joe Harris. And Joe Harris is known for writing the X-Files and a bunch of other things. But, he was somebody who got this. Joe was very politically minded. He read a lot about history. He knows a lot about the Cold War. And listen, we're simpatico when it comes to just our interest in Cold War politics, even though we're completely different in terms of our personal brand of politics. We both loved history the same way, and had a lot of fun gearing up for the second phase of this series. At which point I said, "I'm stepping in. I'm going to start drawing this book." So this was Ilderay's last issue for a little bit. And then it was my turn, and it was already. It felt like this book was on its way down. We were desperately trying to save it, but before we do that, let's look at Ilderay Sinar's beautiful sketches, because they are beautiful, and I think these were the things that he did to kind of prove that he belonged on the book. These look like convention sketches. They look very fast, but they're very fun to look at. Here were his, are these his? Yeah, these were his designs for the characters, and I would bat them back and forth with him. I mean, he wanted Jason and Ronnie to be red, and At some point, we said no, one of them should be yellow. And so Jason became yellow and Ronnie became red. Look at these great sketches. They are a lot of fun. Okay, so we have Posar and Rogue. I mean, these are all his designs, these Rogue Firestorms. Look how cool that looks. Like, that looks like a Middle Eastern Firestorm. I just loved it. I used to get his sketches in, and I'd be so excited. His designs. He was really, really good at kind of translating our ideas into into beautiful, beautiful designs. So there's this. Okay, this is the first 6 issues. This is Gail Simone's run on Firestorm, and it was cut short. And I was frustrated by it. It was a bad time. I don't even know how to explain what it feels like to be given. Understand one thing, like, you can't take for granted what we do. I work for DC Comics. When I was a kid, I loved DC Comics. When I was a little kid, when I became a comic book professional, doing a comic book called Cyberfrog for Harris Comics, I aspired to work for DC Comics. I didn't aspire to work for Marvel. I aspired to work for DC because I thought that's where the very best talent resided. That was my opinion, and I thought the greatest characters resided there. So I always wanted to work for DC Comics. Now, when DC Comics puts you on a book, and I don't care what it is, I mean, DC Comics could put me on, what's a character that I have no affinity for? I always say, people get mad at me for this, I don't care about Booster Gold. I just don't care about him. Everyone loves him. I don't really like him. But if DC Comics said, Ethan, we need you to draw a Booster Gold series, there is no point where I would be like, oh, man, I gotta wake up in the morning and I gotta go down to my desk and I gotta draw Booster Gold for DC Comics. This is a privilege. Our job here, like, everybody wants it. Everybody wants to work for DC Comics. There's no shortage of people that would like to take our place. So getting a chance to work on a new series is fun. It should be fun. I mean, we should be like just laughing all the way to the bank. And this was not fun, and I wanted it to be fun. It got more fun when Joe Harris came on board, because Joe, I think, felt about the characters the way I did. Joe listened and he took the ideas that I had and he built from them and on them, and he listened and added, and he would call me up with ideas that were related to the ideas that I gave him. If you are an editor, I can't recommend working with Joe Harris highly enough. He is a very, very good writer, a decent guy, and he did a good job on the second half of this book. So I'll show you the first issue. I just said, that's it. It's like, I don't think I'm much, but if like my name is first on this book, and it is, I need to show up and I need to play ball. So here I am, boom. First book that I did since Flash Rebirth. I've been in semi-retirement, and I was just like, bitches, daddy's home. This is my Firestorm. So here is one of my better covers. Very happy with this. I took this very, very serious. And here are the Rogue Firestorms. Based on the wonderful Ildare Sonar's designs, I decided they would all look individual. They can't all look the same. These are all like individual Middle Easterners. They're nasty. I think I might have pulled their faces even from real terrorists. I would look at the terrorist watch list and then just say, okay, I'm going to make that guy. I'll take their faces and make them all into Firestorms. Look at their beautiful green, ugly fire, like coming out, breathing green smoke. And Ronnie is in real, real trouble here. I like that his forehead has the light on it. I don't know what all this is, but whatever it is, they're going to do bad things to him. And they've got a big hatchet here. So it could be a decapitation. Who knows? But it's not good. And this is just a really pretty cover. I was quite happy with it. And here we have, Ethan Van Sciver, Joe Harris. Welcome aboard, Joe. and we're picking up right where we left off. Me and Joe, picking up where me and Gayle, or Ilderay and Gayle, left off. This is the aftermath now. This is to me what the stadium would actually look like after the blast. You can see just here's the structure of a football stadium, concert stadium, just collapsed in on it itself. And we're looking through a camera. We've got a little, whoa, what's that? Hey, what's going on? Caught on film. Is that a UFO? And again, caught on film again. Here's Jason standing amidst the rubble. Look at this nice stadium seat here. This is pretty good. I'm happy with I'm happy with myself. Jason is just saying, "Get that camera out of my face." And now let me do my redesign of Zither, who is a super wealthy, very stylish young woman. I decided to put her in a very kind of exquisite, like tailored design, like designed suit, something that a rock star would wear, rather than just a normal kind of design. And she's sitting there saying, "What did you do? What did you idiots do? I sent you." Now, Jason is not taking to being criticized for letting 33,000 people be incinerated when he should have figured out a way to stop it. He's like, "Listen, get out of my face." And he's like, "I put you there to stop those nihilist truck bombs at the stadium." And Jason's like, "What the hell were they even doing there?" And she's like, throws her stuff off the table. And I think she's lying to him. She says, "Jason, I have no idea. I don't know why they were there. I don't know what's going on." And he's like, "Well, that's a first know-it-all." I mean, this guy's a hothead, so to speak. Again, I mean, this is a chance to really goof with the Firestorm powers. And, like Green Lantern, like the suits are made of energy. So when he lights up, it starts to form around his face, around his head. And she's like, "Hey, come back here." Nope. And she's gonna tell him some stuff now. Going through the TV, we're watching all the fake news. This is all fake news. Like, we didn't know it then, we know it now. Fake news, fake news, fake news. And I like her pants. I mean, it's a really nice suit, very nicely designed. And Jason is in his full Firestorm regalia. And she's actually letting him in. Basically, the point is, if you are obnoxious enough to someone who's in power, they will feel like they need to let you in on stuff. And she's holding a remote. She's showing him all the news, and he's like, "Lady, Ronnie's a big boy who seems to be at his best when he's taking care of himself. Now I know what you like about him most." And he turns her remote into butterflies, into fiery butterflies. That's what Jason can do. And here's our boy Ronnie Raymond. I think this was the first splash page. This might have been the first thing that I drew, and this book was in perilous danger. And I turned this in black and white, and Dan Didio was excited. He was like, "Yes, yes, yes." He said, "Yes, yes, yes." I like seeing the ground here. This is some pretty good detail work. Let you know where he is. He's overseas. He says, and this is great. I mean, listen, Joe Harris, Papa bless. He says, "In the big game, they call me the heat seeker. And when you're looking down the field and the defense is closing in, you only get a split second to decide where you're going to put the ball, where the open receiver is going to be, not just where he's at when you look up and throw." Now, Joe Harris is a big football fan, so right on, Joe. And thank you for the heat seeker. Oh, yes. I mean, this is the way the book should have been from the start. That's what makes a good quarterback a great one. That's what makes a good quarterback a great one. It's the difference between someone who gets recruited by the top colleges, goes on to play pro football, and leads the team to championship glory, and just another dumb jock like Jason thinks. This guy doesn't have any self-doubt. He knows that he's special. He knows that he's someone that's competent. He knows that he's good at what he does. He's got his own skill set. And, he's like, I don't have to listen to that dude. Here we have, oh, look how good this. I was back from Flash Rebirth, like, after I think I took, like, a year and a half off, and I was like, "You know what? I'm gonna yeah, I hear the terrorists. This is terrific work. I haven't looked at this since I did it." And they see the heat seeker. They see Ronnie Raymond streaking across the sky. They've got technology that maybe they shouldn't have. I mean, this is pretty good stuff. They target him, and then blam, 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 blam. Speaking of heat-seeking missiles, all this flak comes up into the air. He says, "What the hell, man?" And those things are actually just high-tech, like webbing that shuts down his power and just makes him fall, lose consciousness, and just fall out of the sky. This is a pretty interesting design. Here are the weapons, and straight down while they watch. Oh God, I was earning my paycheck. Look at all these people running in this tiny panel as Ronnie Raymond crashes through this kind of market square. He's on his back. He's all tangled up in this webbing, and all the bananas and the apples and everything. Oh, I love it. This is why I do comics. This is just terrific. And they throw him in the back of one of those pickup trucks that you always see that they drive, like an old American truck. It's covered in graffiti, and they drive him away. And this is very much like Raiders of the Lost Ark. You just see one figure with his head wrapped up, and he's watching. These people are all terrified. They're just trying to get to safety in this market. And then we see he pulls his thing aside. "This is your first look at my Posar. This is the Russian Firestorm." And these guys, I don't know, this guy's not, keeping away from him, but he blends right back into the crowd again. Oh, just take a moment. When I try, I'm pretty good. Here we have the neighborhood. Now this is it's not very focused. Oh well. This is the neighborhood that Zither Tech has put Jason and Ronnie up in, and Jason's dad is gardening. Once again, I put myself down a lot. Like, I feel bad, but when I look at my work again that I haven't looked at it in a while, I'm happy with it. He's gardening with one arm, and here's Jason, and he says, "Hey, I saw what happened. I'm glad you're okay. Look at this." You start to realize that all of this comes at a price. You have what would probably go for in New Jersey. This house is a $800,000 house. It comes at a real price. It's not just money. It's your boy's in danger. He's gonna be in real danger now. And where the hell is Ronnie? Here comes Ronnie's mom. She lives across the street. I'm glad to see Jason, but where's Ronnie? And he says, "Why don't we let Jason wash up? I'm sure Ronnie will be along once he's debriefed. And where's my son? Why isn't he with you?" Joe Harris. Yes. Oh, it's great to be working with it. There was an incident, Miss Raymond. Look at how now Jason is a respectable young man. He's you know what happened at the stadium. It was attacked, and we weren't able to stop it from happening. But there's more going on than they're letting out. I'm not even sure how to even. Is he dead? Damn it! Why won't anyone tell me the truth? It's a nice hug here. I can draw good hugs. He's only got one arm to hug her with, but it's a good arm. Like, it's good. He's got some strength in that arm. If you only have one arm, first of all, your weightlifting, you get it done twice as quick, but also you can spend more time on that one arm. This is a strong man, and he's a kind man. He's got a boy he's trying to raise right. He says, "I don't know if he's dead or alive, and nobody's telling me the truth. It's okay, Joanne. We'll go talk to Zither, and we'll see what the holdup is with your boy. I'm sure it's all some bureaucratic mess the military is famous for. You'll see. Everything's going to be all right." Again, Joe Harris, salute. I mean, we were right. We were good together. Everything's going to be all right. And Joe knows to leave that beat just so that we see the doubt in Jason's face. Is everything going to be all right? It doesn't make me feel like everything's going to be all right. Let's do an entire page upside down because I'm Ethan Van Sciver. Yeah, we meet this guy. And we open our eyes and we realize Ronnie Raymond has been stripped to the same underpants that Hal Jordan wears. I'll tell you what these are. These are crinkly boxers. You can get these at Brooks Brothers. They're about $25 a pair. I really like these. These are really good, and I think they're a gentleman's underwear. Hal Jordan wears them. Ronnie Raymond wears them as well. And look at all this filth. I mean, this is like you look at the tile, like the tile's all kind of it's dirty. It's like they've got all this super high tech that doesn't feel very stable, and they're in a place where you can tell Ronnie is in serious danger. And look at this guy. Look at this face as he coughs a little. Like he's like, "Where am I? You are in a very secure environment, I assure you. Here we are free to share any number of secrets without fear of interruption or discovery." That sounds creepy as hell. Ronnie's still upside down. "Look, I don't know what your game is, but I'm not what you think I am, okay?" And he says, "And what is it that we think you are?" That's it. You shouldn't have said that. I don't know, some kind of action guy or superhero, some sort of Firestorm. And when he says that, according to what Gayle has established, he should burst into flames. He should become Firestorm. But no. Oh, this is good. What the Oh, by the way, I love that this is all in green. This is really great color work. And he throws his head back. He's in pain. He can't become Firestorm. Look at this face here. "Shh, do not despair. The dampening effect of your restraints is not permanent." That's a creepy ass doctor. By the way, he's got a unibrow, which is something that I don't know he should take care of, but he's choosing not to take care of it, and that is his choice. And on a cart, another kind of guy wheels up more nonsense. He says, "I promise you, my young friend, they will not leave a mark on you." I don't think that's a promise he can keep. Good establishing shot. Let's pull back and let's see more of the room that they're in. And we see that you can almost smell it. He says, "You don't get to do this to me. I'm an American." He says, "A fact we are intensely aware of, believe me." Look at this thing. Let's silhouette that. "But we are curious. You will understand how it is that you've come to be this Firestorm, as you say. You have shown the power to make nuclear fire and to fly through the air. But where is the power to transmute matter from one form to another?" Joe Harris, I miss you, buddy. I miss you. "What do you mean? I don't get all this." "Then there are others like you in your country's service." So in other words, he's saying, look, Firestorm should be able to do both things, and you can only do one of these things. So that kind of means that your powers have been split between you and another guy. "I can appreciate your reluctance to speak on these matters. You have been imbued with a great power only to find it has failed you. You've come seeking vengeance only to discover." And here's the thing. You can do a shadow when the light source is down here. Okay, guys? Light source is here. And you can push that shadow up against the wall to make him look monstrous. Look at his hand on the wall behind him. And we're already doing a lot to make this guy look like a monster. "You've come seeking vengeance only to discover that it has been here, waiting for you all this time." What in God's holy name is this? What in God's holy name is that? Terrible. All right. So meanwhile, in a safer place, we've got Zithertech. Look at this here. I think I must have this doesn't look like my work. I think I must have found a doctor's office here, a hospital entryway, and I probably lightboxed it. This looks like a lightbox job by me, and then built around it. So I lightboxed the desk and blah blah blah. What does it look like? And then added stuff to it. So there's a little secret. You can do that. And we've got poor Tanya, who is recovering from the bullet wound to her head. She's in bed still. She's going to come out of this as Killer Frost, I believe. I think that's what we're going to do. Yeah, and there's a mess that you've got to clean up. As Zither's personal assistant, I've learned one important lesson: play the game, Jason, so it doesn't play you. Good advice. Good advice. And he opens up the folder and he sees the British Firestorm and the French Firestorm, who we will meet in the next issue. In the meantime, look at these creepy dials that are being turned up. We're green again. This is something that I used to like to play with a lot. I would instruct the colorist to do flashbacks all in gray tones. And I think I told this colorist, who I believe is Hi-Fi Colors, Brian Miller, hey, we want to do this all in greens. We want to do monochromatic to just amp up the creepy nuclear dread here, the poison, the sense of poison. He's having this nonsense pumped into his body here. And so tell me, so again, what will you tell me of the other firestorms? He's in pain. In the meantime, got a light bulb hanging here. This is funny. This was a good idea from Joe Harris here. Light bulb hanging. These guys who are in the same building as Ronnie are just playing cards. There's the light bulb. And they look up and they go, what the hell? Like, the light bulb is just, you can see that it's dangling here. The light bulb has been yanked up and it's cracked and now it's dark. And they're like, what the? Well, it's being yanked up because the entire roof is going to come off. And they look up and they are incinerated. And they try to become firestorms, but no, they're burnt to a crisp. Who dares risk the wrath of Ashra Khan? Okay, so we're going to introduce somebody named Ashra Khan pretty soon. He is incinerated as well by someone. And our guy is still playing at the dials. He's still torturing Ronnie. He's got this thing. And then suddenly it disappears. And he turns around, show yourself, dog, and sign this declaration of war that you have. It's like Mars Attacks. This kind of thing is fun to draw. I can't tell you. I'm so excited about this. When people ask you to, you can still see his face like reacting as his body is skeletonized beneath him. And he's like, yeah, I think not. You just see his finger. This is how the Russians are. I think not. And then you just see his skull. This is what Firestorm is supposed to look like. Okay, it's a firestorm. There's no calm. There's no peace. There's no tranquility. And let's meet our boy, Pozar. Yeah. Here he is. Here's Vladimir Putin's guy. Right here. His other guy, I mean, besides President Trump. Just kidding. And yeah, he's just, look at his little finger outstretched. Pozar is a badass. Modeled, of course, I think maybe facially off of, what's his name from Rocky 3? Is it Rocky 3? The Russian? That's gotta be Rocky 3. Yeah. That's who I want him to look like. He's just awesome. More broken toys for broken children to make mischief. It's Rocky 4. Ivan Drago, thank you. And destroys it all. And then he turns around to see Ronnie, who has been poisoned. I mean, look at him. Just his body is just lit up. His face is a mess. Poor Ronnie. He's been thoroughly tortured. He's hurt. And he's going to explode. He says, I can't hold it in much longer. Pozar just turns around and looks at him and says, remember this kindness, boy. You will not see it from me again. And he incinerates his bindings, lets him fall to the ground in a clump. Pozar doesn't give a damn. He says, you don't understand, Pozar. I didn't want you to let me go. My name is Ronnie Raymond. Back at school, they called me the Heat Seeker. It feels like that was a long time ago now. Don't let me go. Look, his body is just, there goes his hand. And this is the first issue that me and Joe Harris did together. And this is more like it. This is more like what I wanted it to be. I just wanted fire. I wanted poison. I wanted the sense of doom and dread of nations interacting with each other, all chasing this one power. That's this. I think like this should have been how we kind of started off this series. And I don't know. I mean, the thing about Firestorm is that, you know, it's one of these characters that has hasn't really sold that well before. I mean, he's always been kind of a C-lister at DC. I always believed he could be more than that. I always wanted him to be more than that. So this was disappointing for me. And the fact that you could be involved in a book that uh, when you shepherd one of these characters that isn't beloved necessarily, and then that book fails, it's you've hurt this character. I feel like I've hurt this property because it's going to be a while before DC Comics um, uh, is going to let there be another Firestorm series. Um, so, one last book. This is like a super live thing here. Came back and I drew one more issue. Let's go and see what Jason's up to. Here's Jason. This is the British Firestorm. His name is Hurricane. He's named Hurricane because Hurricane is the was the code name of the first atomic bomb that Britain built. And Firehawk, just because there is a Firehawk character. She's a Frenchie. And they're, in France, fighting more of these, rogue firestorms. So we cut back to where we left off. Yeah. Jason, or I'm sorry, Ronnie is ready to explode. And here come the rogues. So Pozar says, we are only now reaching the fun part. He's excited about this. And then we cut to beautiful Paris. It's kind of a fun establishing shot. Again, I get this kind of thing from Frank Whiteley. Luke Jackson says, Ethan, what happened today, the composites? When I'm done this, I'll open it up to a Q&A. You can ask that. I'll talk about it a little bit if you'd like. I haven't done a live chat in a long time, guys, so I think that, this one can be a little bit longer than usual. And we see, anyway, so back to this. We see a little girl. She's looking up at the Eiffel Tower. I got to draw the Eiffel Tower like 100 times in this. She, little girl smiles. She watches as, roses grow. And that's Jason being a nice guy. Look at the difference now. Here's Jason Rush under Joe Harris. He's being nice to a little child. He made flowers grow in front of her, and he is going to be a hero now. He sees a man running. He believes that man or woman is his target. And so he swoops down to stop this person, and he lifts him up off the ground with a vine of trees. And it turns out, what is this? I'm sorry, I thought you were someone else. And she speaks French, and she says, I found it, it's mine. So it's irradiated with the same decay signature from the stadium assault. This is a message. So there's a nuclear Z kind of burned into this American flag. It's a decoy. She says, he gave it to me. He did it. And there he is. This guy's running right for the Eiffel Tower. And he says, they know I'm here. And then suddenly, he's being targeted by someone else who picks him up, flies him up way up into the air. Look at this big nuclear signature. She thinks that he's the rogue Firestorm. Hi, me, Firebird. Ah, cher monsieur, excusez-moi, do you not speak French? And she's a cutie pie. She's very bird-like. I made her kind of short. I think she is like maybe 5'2", and just cute. And yeah, she says, you're a little small for a rogue, aren't you? And she's gonna goof off with him and try to stop him. She doesn't take him very seriously. And then here comes Hurricane. This is Great Britain's Firestorm. He says, you're internationals. Your Firestorm's created by Zithertech. And Joe Harris said, I don't know. I can't speak. I don't speak any French at all. But he said there was something like that the French do. They'll gesture to their eye like that. And that means it's kind of an insult. And so that's what she's doing here. And he says, you're a bit off course, aren't you, Yank? The lady's called Firehawk, France's own. You can call me Hurricane. Not that I'll answer either way. I'm picking up some trace particles. A lot of static with our friend here, though. Alpha decay is strongest along the west side of the park, isolating his signature now. and they found him. I like him. I like Hurricane. He's cool. They found their Rogue Firestorm, and this is kind of cool too. So they're professionals. Jason's like, I think I'm in over my head here. And this is a nice visual. Meanwhile, Posar is destroying the rogues, and I'm just obliterating them and having a great time doing it, while Ronnie's just on the ground. He is almost dead. And then look at, oh, this is interesting. So he says, you need to focus, Ronald. He's like, who? Concentrate. And for one moment, this is when Firestorm fans started to like us a little bit. The professor, this is Professor Stein. His face shows up. He's been long dead, or has he? He's saying, concentrate. And Ronnie begins to wake up and open his eyes. In the meantime, we can see what Firebird does. She creates a flaming, fiery horse, blue fire, and yeah. And then here they are chasing this dude. We cleanse the world's filth with pain. You do? Wow. With fire, we burn it, and yeah, Hurricane just incinerates him into nothing. He says, check one off for the Union Jack. I saved you frogs again. That's not nice. That's racist. You don't call people frogs, not the French. It turns out that old lady was also a rogue Firestorm, and she is headed towards the Eiffel Tower, and he obliterates her, but she explodes. This is a really nice face here. Firehawk, really good. I guess I spent a lot of time because I was drawing this ridiculous Eiffel Tower. Yeah, Ronnie and Posar together. I love him picking up the Rogue Firestorm by the neck here, and then just disintegrating him in his arms. I love people becoming skeletons. And it's like, here's his spider sense. Ronnie has gotten to his feet. He's only got one hand now, and doesn't really understand what's happening to him. He says, it felt good, yes, to let go this way, to make your enemy cry out for mercy, only to silence him once and for all. You wish to feel more of this, don't you? Yes. Then follow me, boy. Posar's going to train Ronnie. And in the meantime, this was the toughest thing that I had to draw. The Eiffel Tower is melting. It's falling down. And Jason is trying to protect all these people who are underneath the debris, including the little girl who he made flowers for. And he's decided the way to do it is, as the debris falls down, he has to stand there and change all of it into flower petals. And you can see there are flower petals all over the ground here. He's standing little in the middle of it. And then look at all this. Just that took all. This, I hand drew this. You understand? I did not use technology in any way. I sat there and I hand drew all this nonsense. I am old school. I'll always do it that way. That's just part of my craft. And boy, was that fun. That was really fun. So this was it. After this, Ildere Sinar came back. He was working with Joe Harris. I worked more closely with everyone in trying to get this book on track, but it just didn't work. The book was DOA by this point. I mean, when the first issue came out and sold so well, this is the problem with selling a lot of copies of your first issue and then the first issue not being very good. Everyone has read it. Everyone has already made up their mind. It would be almost better if the first issue was something that we all agreed on that was really good, and only 20,000 people bought it, and then word of mouth made it grow. It was all hand drawn on a deadline. This was me back from it's like I said so in the last one. I said I was really discouraged after Flash Rebirth, and I just felt like I don't know, I need to come back and hit hard, and I did. I put a lot of energy into these two issues, Firestorm number 7 and 8. If you buy them, you'll see. I mean, you won't be disappointed. The work is there. It's bang on. It's some of my best stuff. But you can't. I mean, like when you can play your heart out to an empty stadium, and it won't make a difference. If the fans aren't there to see the book and enjoy it and talk about how good it is to people who haven't already made up their mind, it's just over. And so this book went on for a little while, and then it was given to Dan Jurgens, whose job was to reverse everything and put it right back to where it was after Brightest Day. So I don't think these characters even still exist. Jeff Johns did make reference to Fury once, which I thought was pretty neat, and something that he did. I can't remember what it was. But other than that, this was just a failed project. Um, and it's a shame because I think from 7 on, the book is pretty good. Joe Harris did a great job under the constraints that he had, having to work with characters and plot lines and tidy things up and tie things up that he didn't establish. Um, it was good. And from here, what did I do from here? Where did I go from Firestorm? I don't even remember. Did I go to Batman? Feels like I think after this, they put me on Batman the Dark Knight, which was great. Yeah, that is what happened. They gave me Batman the Dark Knight. So that was fun. But yeah, this is, what can I say? What do you do? I mean, again, not every partnership works out. Um, I will say that I insist that this be fun. So I'm going to open it up to a Q&A now. If you guys want to ask questions, I will answer them. We'll hang out for a little bit. We'll turn this into a normal little hangout before I get back to work. Rodwell Stevens says, why did you choose Gayle? I chose Gayle because Gayle and I thought Gayle was really funny. Also, even though I wasn't really up on Gayle's work, like I think I read some of her one of her books, but it wasn't. I didn't read very much of it. What I thought was that she was very popular, and since we got along personally, we'd probably get along professionally, and this might be a chance for her to get on, another book to gain more exposure. I want to help my friends as much as I can. I don't think I helped her very much under this situation, though. All right. Jonathan Incarnation says, regardless of whether there were at the time or not, I'm glad you're showing this to us now. Man, the quality of the characterization. Thanks for sharing it. You're welcome. Yeah, let's talk about that. This channel is going to be all about at least my career and the way I think about comics and my approach to them. I will tell you some behind the scenes things so that it's like how these things, how successes come to be, how failures come to be. There are stumbling blocks. There are things to learn from mistakes. I mean, this was a very important lesson for me. And that lesson was to believe in my ideas and to not let go of the reins and never give up. It's like, don't give up. Don't just say, all right, you guys, which is how I approached Firestorm. I wasn't excited about it at the start, and then I got excited about it, and then I just said, well, I don't know. I don't really want to work on it that much. And I should have insisted that I co-plot it, like really co-plot it, and also draw it. Not that, Ilderay wasn't great. He was great. But these ideas were coming straight out of my head, and so it was better that there not be any person that needs to translate them visually. It would have been better if I had drawn it, I think. Hey Ethan, are you going to do a how to draw a fudgesicle video? Christopher Ryan, I would do that, except that was already very well done by Edwin, and you should go look at that video. Also, I think sickle is spelled differently than sickle that way. I think that is the kind of sickle that cuts down wheat. Luke Jackson asks, Ethan, what happened to Day of the Composites, and what would have been the story were the Composites aliens? Luke, what happened was, I think that Day of the Composites was already going on before Gail and I did Firestorm, and it was supposed to be 100 pages, and about 50 pages of it got drawn. Maybe 65 pages of it got written, but it got kind of scattered at the end. Uh, what happened was uh, what happened here. It was a poor creative partnership that fizzled out. It didn't come to an end. It literally ground to a halt. Like, just, we can't finish this project together. And, it's a shame because, like I said, there are 50 pages of it that do exist. I don't know how to finish it. I don't know how to finish it because it doesn't really work. So, I would have to start all over again from the beginning. I could maybe dig some of the pages that were already drawn out and reuse them, repurpose them. But for the most part, just it's painful. It's really painful. So when this ended, my partnership with Gail Simone pretty much ended. Even though we were still talking and everything, we did get back together. They asked me if I wanted to do a Wonder Woman one shot to start off this new book called Sensation Comics, and they wanted me to do the first issue. It was going to be a digital first and then become a comic, and they asked me who I wanted my writer to be, and I said, of course, Gail Simone, because she is, one of the best known Wonder Woman writers, and I felt like it might be a good way. Like, it was just 22 pages or 20 pages. We could easily do it and succeed, and then just kind of end our partnerships, of which there were 3, end them on a high note. And I think we did. Like, that ended up being a good book. What were the composites? The composites were spores from outer space. They were made of intelligent vegetation, or pseudo-intelligent vegetation, that it was like Invasion of the Body Snatchers. It was exactly like that. So they would copy people. Let's see. Have I read Hickman's FF yet? No, I haven't, Philip Pierce. How is the Jaybird drawing coming along? Ask Ellie. Ellie, it's done and it's posted on my Twitter. You can go have a look at it. I tweeted it out. Argos444, Ethan, you ever see Canada's Worst Driver Ever? There's a guy on the show who recites the Blue Lantern Corps mantra to calm himself down. Really? That's great. No, I haven't seen it. That's pretty cool. Arachnophobe, I love your artistic take on Batman. Any chance you'll draw him again in the future? Yes, every chance. Hal Jordan, any projects like this in the works right now? Hal Jordan, I am going to do 4 more issues of Hal Jordan. That's what's in the works right now. From there, I might do something else. I might move on just because I feel a little bit restless. Okay, so I might want to make a change. And there are a few characters at DC that I really haven't worked on yet. I have done some Wonder Woman. I have done Batman. I have done Green Lantern. I've done a little Superman. I've done some Flash. So there's one that's missing. Did you get your Pop-Tarts yet? Yes, I did, Shinto Catch Up. They came, and the box wasn't as good as I wanted it to be in. But Amazon only had one left, so I am stuck with it. It's okay. I mean, the back of the box with Atrocitus on it is in good shape, but the front of it has some shelf wear on it. Christopher Keel, you are one of the realest creators out there. I love the channel, and the art tips are some of the best. Thank you so much. Christopher, thank you. And tell your friends. I mean, this is the thing. This channel needs to grow. So I'm counting on you guys to actually spread the word. Let people know. That'd be a really good thing. Let's see. Yeah, thank you. Empire 3 says he's going to go grab issue 7 and 8 at my LCS. Hey, any reason for you to go to your local comic shop and go buy comics, that's great. Please do buy these. Next time you see me, I'll sign them. Mellow Soul. Oh, wait, hold on. Clark Nichols says, would you do some videos on working with writers and what that's like from an artist perspective? Sure. Absolutely. Mellow Soul says, hi, Ethan. I love your commentaries. How would you introduce these concepts if you had the chance to do them today? If I had the chance to do them today, knowing what I know, I would just go back and honestly, I would do straight up Firestorm. I would just do regular Firestorm, and I would just do a good job. I mean, this was an experiment. You understand? It's like Firestorm doesn't sell. Why? Why? Well, let me try something really different. Oh, that didn't sell either. In fact, that was a disaster. Okay, fair enough. So maybe what we need to do is just go back and do Firestorm. The Jerry Conway method. Just do the original character. I think that would be good. Did you get paid twice for these for writing an art? Yeah, I received a small check for co-plotting every issue of Firestorm, and then when you draw, obviously you get paid for the art as well. Let's see. I'm way behind here. Have you been able? No, so no. Hickman's Fantastic Four, Philip. You're like, I better read that for you. Can you talk about your relationship with editorial as an artist? Like, how many revisions and redos do they typically ask for? Listen, whatever the editor says for the most part is yes, sir, yes, ma'am. They're guiding the project, and they're the ones who hired you. How many revisions, redos do they typically ask for? I will always get costumes wrong for new characters, and I have to fix them. I have to do that tonight. In fact, I have to make some repairs on some pages. Very rarely do you have to completely redraw something over again from scratch. Very rarely. But it does happen. Like I said, there have been 3 or 4 covers that I've had to redo. Are you planning on doing Let's Draw Hawkman? Yes, Brutal Hawkman, I am. Because the reason why is because somebody would like a commission, and I have to draw it for them. They haven't paid me yet, so that's the thing. Got to draw it and get paid. But first, I have other work to do. But when I do that commission, I will do it as a video so that you guys can watch me draw it. Hi. Yeah, more Batman, sure. Santiago J says, will you get to work with Bendis? I hope so, but I'm not counting on it. No. I mean, not right now. Do some Aquaman. Yeah. All right, I'm scrolling down. I know it's okay. KSSS says, I know it may seem a bit advanced, but any chance to get a vid on inking tips and tricks would be greatly appreciated. Yeah, I mean, I try to include inking tips and tricks like into the videos, into my drawing videos. I think that's that's the best way to organically kind of explain inking to you. Like, but there's a chance. I mean, I could. I just don't know. I don't know how I would title that video. DC has 8 new titles coming out. Why not 9 with Ethan? No, I want to do another Green Lantern storyline first. EVS, make sure you leave jail with a solid artist to take your place. Yeah, I mean, look, I just need a break. So, I'm sure that right now, Green Lantern seems to be attracting some of the best artists in the business. So, who knows? I'm sure somebody will be there. Cariolinus Rex says, EVS, Ethan, is it just me or is DC slipping into SJW waters often in their superheroine comics? I don't know. Maybe I have no opinion about it. Like what? I haven't seen. Is there a brand of whiteout you prefer? Yes. These Presto pens here, and you can get these on Amazon. These are really, really, really good. Very good. Great Gun Shogun says, why the lewd Santas? Because I did one once in 2010 just for fun. I wanted to draw Santa coming down the chimney with no pants, and it was a big hit, and people wanted one every single year on social media. And I don't like to let people down, Great Gun Shogun. So I do annual under Panta clause, and if I don't do one, I think people will be very sad. So they have to keep going, even though it's a challenge to think of a new upsetting Santa Claus to draw every year. This year was Andrea's idea. She said, "Draw him, going down the slide, from an angle that's unfortunate." And I said, "Okay." So yeah, that was her thing, and let's see. Luke Jackson, why did the composites have half and half? What's up with that? Was there ever an in-story explanation? No, there's not an in-story. Well, it's based on Composite Superman, Luke Jackson. Look up Composite Superman on Google and you'll see. He's a character from, hold on, I'll show you. This is the thing. We gotta represent DC Comics here. So this is the first appearance of Composite Superman. This is World's Finest number 142 from what year? 1964. All right. So this is Composite Superman, and back in the Silver Age, I think that creative people, the creators, were just coming up with uh, just crazy ideas. I mean, if you saw this on a comic book as a kid in the 1960s, you would just be like, "Whoa, what is that? I got to read about a guy who's half Superman and half Batman." These comics were for kids. They were just for kids. So this character does exist. The weird thing about him is he's half Superman, half Batman. He's green, but he has all the powers of the Legion um, of superheroes. So look, he has more than 20 superpowers. Blah 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 blah. That makes no sense to me. I do not know why he would have the Legion's powers and not the skills and abilities of Superman and Batman. But anyway, so this character exists. He has shown up a few times since in different ways, but my idea was to make this thing, the composite, an actual alien plague. Okay, so this would happen to everyone. So if Superman and Batman were working together, these spores come down from space like rain, and they find superheroes, they find special, talented, whatever people, and they combine them. So these guys would both be knocked out, unconscious. They would be copied, and then they would be turned into a half and half version because the stupid alien pseudo intelligence, like fake intelligence, that runs this plant life, this alien plant life, thinks that this is the best way to sort of create, a composite spore kind of, what's that called in botany? I don't know. But anyway, so they would all look like this. So in other words, Robin and Superboy hang out a lot together. So, there was a composite Superboy. That was, yeah, a hybrid. Thank you. So this is that's that hybrid. So there's a composite Superboy, half Robin, half Superboy. You know, that was the whole thing. Um, and in the story, Batman survived, and Superman was off planet, and the Green Lantern Corps was charged with keeping Superman off planet. They're like, we will deal with this. You do not go in there, because if you go in there, they're going to get you too, and we can't handle a composite version of you. Um, so yeah, that's Composite Superman, and I've always loved this character. He shows up in the Jeff Loeb, Ed McGuinness, Superman Batman series as a robot built by Toyman, which I thought was really neat. Let's see here. Here is this is the second appearance of Composite Superman. He's only been in a few comics. This is also in beautiful shape. Look, here's Composite Superman, and he's becoming Bouncing Boy, and he's he just has the Legion powers. It's weird. It's very, very weird. All right, so there's that, and then this is damn cool. I think this might be the third appearance of Composite Superman, and this is a cover by Rich Buckler, who just died recently, sadly. But look at that. I mean, that is a great image. It's a little blurry, but it is a terrific image. So I have, the Composite Superman will still destroy you. I mean, that's how could you like if you saw this on the stands, how could you not buy this? How could you not buy this comic book? And this is the thing about it. Again, it's hype, hype, hype. I love this. I love word balloons on comic book covers. I think they need to come back. I think they just need to come back. Now, this is a weird book because who wrote this? Carrie Burkett. It's a weird book because it's a two-part story, and whoever wrote this, you've got Superman and Batman like working together and fighting Composite Superman. Let me find it here. It's strange. Like Batman needs help. Like Composite Superman's beating the crap out of Batman, and Superman's like, "I'll save you, Batman." Like, thank God for Frank Miller. Like, you really think about it. Thank God for Frank Miller because uh, Batman was a chump. And in this, like over and over again, Superman keeps saying like, "Hey Buster, keep your hands off Batman." Let me find an example of that. He says it like three times. Here it is. Look at this. "I'm telling you for the last time, Mister, keep your hands off Batman." What is Batman? Your girlfriend? Like what do you mean? Like that's not like if I were Batman, I'd be like, "Hey Clark, STFU. Like you don't need to white knight for me. Keep your hands off Batman." What? I mean, that is the worst thing I've ever seen in a comic book, and he says it three times over the course of these. Like I told you, don't you touch Batman, don't you lay a finger on my friend Batman. I mean, it's like, what is he even in the book for? You joking? Ugh. Anyway, yeah, but this is honestly, there it is. Now the cover's nice and sharp and in focus. This is really really great. So this is the thing. These were my inspirations, and especially this. I would have loved to have redrawn this cover, and I guess I still could. Yeah. But this character is just magnificent. Like he's so weird that you have to do something with him. And DC has a bunch of characters like this from the Silver Age. You can get excited about it because it's on you. I mean, it is really on you to go back and mine the Silver Age for great characters and concepts that aren't currently being used, and then just say, hey, remember this character who appeared once in World's Finest number 68. Who knows what that was? That guy. I'm gonna bring him back, and I'm going to make him into a character for that's tough, that's scary, that's cool. I'm gonna take the irony out of him, and then make him really, really good. And again, you're talking about 75 years, 80 years worth of beautiful comics to get excited about, to mine. And there's every reason to read all of these back issues, especially if you're a creator, and discover characters like Composite Superman. Uh, you know, you can take this guy and you can make him into something good. EVS, we need a Batman drawing of him saying, "Hey Clark, STFU." Yeah. I mean, it is weird. "Hey Mister, get your hands off Batman." And he says it again. He's like, "If I told you once." Do I have that second one? Let me see. I don't think I have it. No, I don't have it. This is nice though. I found this. I buy comics just because they're so pretty, and I put them on my rack. Yeah, Buster. Hey, you know what word needs to come back? I've decided that I'm gonna speak because I'm so tired of the vulgarity on the internet. Like now, uh, some of these SJWs, they all speak like everything has to be like F this, like you know S head. I'm tired of it. Like the word that needs to come back, like nincompoop. Like, what do people say? Like, if you call them like old fashioned, like, you know, things like that, uh, yeah, forced swearing. Like, if you call people those kinds of names that are still like grown up, like, hey, I'm a grown up. I am not going to call you, a curse word. I'm gonna talk to you the way grown ups talk to children, or they did when I was a kid. Um, this generation is not growing up to be grown ups. They're growing up to be kids that have been let off the leash. Look at this beautiful comic. Ninny. Thank you. I wanted that word. Ninny is a good one too. Yeah, I had to pick this up. A little damage here on the spine, but it's like, you know, gobbledygook means nonsense. Like, that just means, hey, you're just speaking gobbledygook. I've heard that. Like, I've heard people still saying that in this day and age. But yeah, when you're just like, you know, using words like that, yeah, I say goof, I say goofball, I say weirdo. Well, weirdo is kind of aggressive. Weirdo is mean. But I don't really know like a better way to describe some of these people. Dimwit is kind of mean, Ellie. Hey, you dimwit. Yeah, like blockhead is a good one. Silly goose is not good, Argos. Nitwit is great. Nitwit is great. Um, but these are the kind of things like I think you have to combat this profanity, like, because it's ugly, like this vulgarity where everyone just they've got these like I don't know if you've seen these BuzzFeed videos where they let little children speak profanity. You've got little tiny girls saying the F word. Like, do you know, adults, my generation, you idiots, do you remember what the F word means? You want that word to come out of the mouth of a 4-year-old? What on earth is wrong with you? What on earth is wrong with you that you want to make videos? First of all, well, just because words are no big deal. Or, these words are not as bad as smacking a woman in the eye. Oh, well, that's true. That's a good point, BuzzFeed. But instead of like actually contributing to the delinquency of a 4-year-old by making her use words that basically mean aggressive sexual intercourse, why don't you just say that? Hey, don't smack women in the eye. Hey, women don't get paid as much as men. Things like, go ahead and say that. Or, are you trying to get attention? At what cost? At what cost? It is child abuse. It's ridiculous. It's disgusting. And I see that and I'm just like, this is the only way to combat that is to, knucklehead is really good. Thank you. The only way to combat that is just to speak in old fashioned words to them. You know, that's what I do. That's what I do on Twitter. And start pointing it out. I mean, you don't have to endure it. Like, actually say to people, like, your language is disgusting. Like, this is not. It's not acceptable. That's not socially okay. Suddenly, just because nobody wants to confront you about it, that's not okay. Do you think Superman would say that? Do you think Batman would say that? Do you think the Flash would talk like that? No, of course not. Of course they wouldn't. Composite Superman might, but he wouldn't actually. He wouldn't actually say that because my composite Superman speaks with artificial, fake intelligence, and he can only say things that these characters have already said out of context. Yeah, I think it's important that people kind of clean up their mouths. I don't know. That's my thought. But guys, thank you so much. This stream has gone for an hour and a half, and I wasn't bored even once. I hope you guys weren't either. Thank you very, very much for joining me. Thank you for diaper money, and that is really good. I really, really appreciate you guys and your support of this channel. I know I say this every single time. I will never not say it because I can't. I don't want you guys to think that I ever take you for granted for being supportive, for subbing, for retweeting my calls for subscribers on Facebook and Twitter. for everything that you guys do to help create a positive fan and learning community on YouTube, which is what I hope this is. And I do hope that it leads to other things. I really hope that people see what I'm doing and decide that they want to do the same thing. YouTube is full of critics, and critics are necessary. But we also need people who are attempting to inspire and instruct the next generation of creative talent. And also just, let's face it, just give insider tips and things for people who are fans and who want to know more about the hobby that they love. And I am honored that you guys are allowing me to be that person on YouTube to start this out. Thank you for your support and for everything that you guys do. Um, I'm on Twitter. If you haven't already, what is it on Twitter? Followed me at Ethan Van Skyver. I think there's some fake ones, but no, you'll see the real one. I have a blue check mark. I'm one of those. Thank you, thank you, thank you, and you guys have a terrific, terrific night. Please hit like on this video before you go. Okay, thank you guys. Good night.